Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Mafer Mejia, and today we're going to talk about more of the entertainment industry management program. Today is joining us the teacher Sergio Anguiano, who teach here in the entertainment business program. And well, he studied here the career of marketing in the Nahua Cancun. So hi Sergio, welcome. Can you talk more about yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, Mafer. Thanks for having me. So I think that you made a great introduction of myself, but I wanted to, give a little bit more detail. So as you mentioned, I studied marketing here. I loved my career, and eventually I also fell in love with the entertainment industry. I had my first reach into that when I was 15 years old.
Okay, you're so really young.
Yeah, a few yesterdays behind. I was a greeter on events. I was the person who was like, welcome to this event. And eventually I started, to growing a little bit more into the industry, and I started falling in love with it. I'm a very Disney fan, so one of my dreams is to work for Disney. And when I was, looking for the careers and how I can actually work there, I figured, or I saw that you needed to have like an entertainment something degree. And I was like, okay, I didn't study that, but let me see if I can, do like an extra course or something. And eventually I found out that there was a master's degree being taught here at the Anáhuac. So I was like, cool, this is something that I'm really into, so I'm going to look for it, search for it. I actually enrolled into the program. We're so ready to get into this started. But somebody, all the way into China decided to have a bad soup instead of a cheeseburger, and then we got into a whole worldwide pandemic.
Yeah.
In that part, the program had to go into a brief halt, and we actually started all the program on 2022. And I started to learn more about the industry, get a little bit more professionalized into that area, got to meet a lot of great friends, a lot of great people, two of whom which I get the pleasure to work with nowadays, well, three actually. And here I am, and it's very cool to be here.
You're one of the youngest teachers here in the Nahua Cancun, or well, in the program at least.
I think I'm in that area. I'm still
and also
in
you're
that
the
range.
favorite one, so I think that's why you're here.
Well, thanks for that.
So, teacher or Sergio,
Yeah.
Can you talk us more about like your classes that you give? You give 3 different classes. I think the first one is the fundraising, or no?
No, yeah, I do teach 3. The first one, it's called, and by the way, these are very long names.
Yeah.
Like, we need to work on those rebrandings eventually. But the first one, it's called Business Case Analysis for Entertainment Companies.
Oh yeah, that's a favorite one.
That's like the opening act of the classes, and it's a very interesting class because the idea of that class itself, it's we study a lot of cases. It's like Ventaneando 2.0
Yeah.
because we talk a lot about the gossip of the industry, but it starts with something very interesting that is, eventually, if you sing well, act well, dance well, if you don't monetize it, it's just a hobby. And the idea of that class is to understand how to monetize those things. How do we understand how companies have made money out of this talent that you can have, or some bright ideas? But we also can go into the other side, how companies have failed into probably making a business, or how to not make smart decisions business-wise, because at the end of the day, you guys are going to be, the upfront runners of this industry. So the idea is that you learn from others' mistakes or successes, and you start to implement those. And we see a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, we see a lot of stuff like entertainment cases of the Taylor Swift becoming the pop star that it's right now.
We do.
Or Kanye West and his cancellation.
We do that as well.
But yeah, we see a lot of topics. But I think what everyone loves of your classes is that you make them special. Like every class, I think you make it dynamic and entertainment. And well, can you talk more about the dynamics that you make in your classes, please?
Sure. So it's just something very interesting because when I was first given that class, the mission that I had is this is a great class because people tend to get bored, with long names.
And
people,
it's a long class.
It's a long class eventually. And it was like, how can we make this very interesting? My goal there was to get some stuff that it's important, but it's also like interesting to you guys and actually learn from those. So we do see, as you mentioned, we saw Taylor Swift.
A lot of cases, yeah.
Yeah, we see Taylor Swift, we see Michael Jackson, we see YouTube, we see
Beyonce.
We see Beyonce, we see anime, we see like a lot of stuff. But eventually my goal there was, I want to make something that is very interesting, and I try to place, cases that are updated, because if I just place you like cases that were like far behind, it's going to be like very boring.
Yeah.
I find something very interesting because there's like classes that I know that eventually people are going to, love, and I'm going to have the entire class's attention, and others that are going like, it's another day.
No, but I remember that at the end of this class, everyone ended up writing because they don't want to like leave the class for the first time. So yeah, I think that's why you're the favorite one, because I think you really make special classes.
I love to hear those comments, and as you mentioned, I like to make them dynamic. We play some games.
Without spoiling anything.
Yeah, we don't want to give any spoilers ahead of you guys. Eventually,
but
you're
we
gonna
play a lot. Like
we do.
Everyone end up became friends because at the end, everyone it's like joining for the same thing, and everyone connects with the topics that you talk.
Yes, and I also, what I did want to make, it's like a class that you just, stare at the slideshow and you go over and over some topics. I wanted to, get you into the mood and get you into the gossip, because eventually when we're starting, it's very funny because, for instance, I know there's a class that people are gonna sleep on, and that's COVID. We do see one that it's COVID, and it's it's a hard class because eventually either one, I'm opening scars that the therapist spend a lot of months closing. I get some Vietnam flashbacks for those eras, or it's just I don't want to see this topic again.
Yeah.
But I just, for example, Michael Jackson is a class that I know I have all the eyes of the class there. It's also very funny because when I do Taylor Swift, I do expect that if I have any Swifties on the class, because eventually I'm gonna have one, I'm gonna have that person's attention. But it's very funny because the eyes that I have more are guys.
Yeah, the haters one.
Yeah, the haters are like very, very interested. And when we see sports that I expect that guys are more interested into, those girls are the most focused into the area. So it's very fun in that.
At the end, everyone connects with one topic.
Yeah.
So also in that class, we see a lot of Disney.
We do.
And I want to talk about your nickname that everyone's got to know at the end of the class.
Yes.
Because we see this nickname like, oh, I love that class of nickname.
Yeah.
I love that class of nickname. And like we mention a lot. I think anyone right now calls you Sergio.
My name is a mystery for some of the students here.
But it's because of that class, because at the end we see a lot of Disney things.
It is. It is eventually, and the nickname does, and I don't want to spoil it because I think it's very funny when people don't know who's behind the character.
Yeah.
And they're like, who is this person? Or
like everyone wanted to know who you're talking about. And
they
when
don't
you
know.
get to realize who you're talking about, you said like, oh.
Yeah, because eventually, like, the nickname doesn't have anything to do with my name. So people tend to, and there's someone that it's named very similar to the nickname. Mm-hmm. And when they, enroll classes with this person, is like, this is not the one that they told me to.
No.
But it's very funny. Yes, it's due to Disney. And eventually, this came because of a little stuffed animal that I have. And around the classes, as you mentioned, some of the dynamics that we do is that this little stuffed character, flies around.
Around the class.
Yeah, and it's just, it's another person in the class.
Yeah, and at the end, everyone became a huge fan of Disney because of this class. And talking about traumas also on the COVID part, can you talk more about the fundraising class, please?
That's a
class where you share a lot of traumas about yourself.
I do. So that's the other class that I actually teach, and we do three things in that class. First, we go around how we make very interesting pitches to companies and how we make sales presentations. For people in the entertainment industry, how we can actually make money.
How to beg for money.
Yes, and that's the part where we either go like very professional bow and tie meetings, or how we can make a very strategic way of saying please give me money. And also we go around my traumas, because we go around my professional experience on events. I've been lucky enough to work into the fundraising and sponsorship areas. And we do go a lot, of certain companies, certain events. La Feria del Taco still hurts. It's still a scar that hasn't healed, and it won't. And we do go around in that area and how we can, make some interesting stuff. I share with you, or with the students in this case, events where things were just incredibly good and we raised a lot of money. Other cases where things just went completely south. And I, of course, cried, but eventually figured out how we can make.
At the end, everyone got to know yourself in a huge way.
Yes, I love that class because you guys become my unpaid therapist, and that's amazing.
You do it first, and then we.
Yeah. I'm the one I'm gonna share with you what are the mistakes so you guys don't do it, and we actually bond.
And that really helps.
Yeah, we bond through trauma.
For the third class, I get to know that this class is just happening here in the Nahua Cancun. So it's the one of tourist experiences here. It's a long name again.
Again, long
names.
The
whole career had a long names. Like entertainment business is huge.
Yeah, we need to work on that rebranding of namings. But
that's why we call it EBM.
So if you guys hear, in the lingo here, EBM, it's that. Yeah, so that class is, as you mentioned, it's only taught here. It's a way that we explore two things, or I like to, go into two different sides. First, the tourism side, because I think it's a very important section here in Cancun. We're still the #1 touristic destination in the country, so eventually we need to understand how this industry works. But we're studying entertainment, so that's a really interesting part. And eventually, something that is very cool is that entertainment has moved around tourism the last couple of years, especially after COVID. So in that area, it's how we can make, for example, interesting concerts, interesting festivals. Even though theme parks are a huge way of, bringing people towards a destination, of course, as you might have guessed it, we also see Disney in that area.
Yeah, and also to understand the different types of tourism, because not all are the same.
Exactly. We're not seeing, we can see entertainment tourism, we can see romance tourism or love tourism, we see convention tourism, and it's a very different, stereotype of
and
tourism.
how to arrive to them.
Exactly. So it's a very interesting class. I love it. I think it's the one where I connect the most. It's, for me, a very sad class because it's the last time I'm ever going to get to see you guys. But
this every year was like, we are not seeing us again. Like, we're not seeing us again. Like, bye. And every class was like crying at the end of the class. But this class, I think it felt like the end.
Yeah, it's like this book closing, and it's very... For me, it's a very heartwarming episode because eventually it's to say goodbye, but it's also like, damn, I'm not going to see these guys again. So it's...
No, but at the end you became like friends with everyone. Like,
yes.
Everyone end up going with you to... like gossip.
Yes, for the tea. That's amazing.
That's something that really connects to you.
Yeah, and I love the part that we can explore other things, beyond the classroom. I think it's very interesting, for example, for some classes or whenever students are sharing with me either certain information or that they see something online and they share it with me like, hey, it's like something that we saw in your class or it's something that I learned in your class. And I was like, thank God, just, watching
we
YouTube
know how
videos.
To connect it.
Yes, yeah. And that's amazing for me.
Talking about entertainment, can you talk us more about the friends that you think will become like strongest in the entertainment industry?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Like, for instance, in the friends part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for that, I think that the most friends that I've made in this industry have made, first and foremost, all the persons that I've worked with eventually.
No, trends.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was friends.
Friends.
Sorry.
Yeah, also, we became the end in the industry friends.
We're all friends. Yeah, but the trends, wow, that's a very also interesting question. One of the trends eventually is going to be AI. I think it's one of the things that it's actually right now reaching into, and we need to explore. And it's getting the attention of big companies. Recently, Disney just announced that it's going to be a little bit more AI focused into, their productions and the screenwriting. We've seen other examples as, for example, the Writers Guild that, stopped into this area that we don't want ChatGPT to start doing our scripts. Yeah, and it's how they've managed. I see a lot of, as well, entertainment has been very political all the time. It's a way of expressing an opinion. But nowadays, as the world that we're living in, entertainment has become like the huge platform of expressing any type of, statement or posture regarding something. I think, for example, right now the Super Bowl that was headlined by Bad Bunny.
Yeah, that's a huge responsibility for every entertainer.
Exactly, but also like his way of expressing. I think one of the most interesting messages that he had was anything more powerful than hate is love. Mm-hmm. And he was like, America's not just one country, it's an entire continent. Mm-hmm. So I think that those type of, statements and postures give us a lot of how the entertainment is actually shaping some of the history. So I think those are some interesting trends, as well as we're seeing so many of the now digital stars, where we don't see stars as they were made previously. We were seeing, for instance, Michael Jackson, who was made out of, and I'm saying that there's no talented people out there, because they are, but people like Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury, Lionel Richie, they made their fame throughout, exposing their talent and getting their art out there. And right now, we see like stars that they're very fast. There are some that stay around with us, but we see others that, just have a very trendy TikTok and then they just go away. Yeah. So I think that part's in
and for the entertainers that want to work in this industry, can you give us like an advice for them to close?
I think that one of the advices that I would give is for them to be passionate about what they do.
Yeah, I think this work needs a lot of passion.
Yes, because it's long hours of work, very or no sleep at all. But you guys need to be very passionate about what you do and what you feel that you are, endorsing. Also, believe in your art. I think that's one of the most important things, because if you're not doing something that you believe and love, eventually things are not gonna match.
At the end, you need to fake it until you make it.
That's
a
also
little bit of that.
Yes,
yeah.
that's another thing that you need to do in this industry. And I think that it's do everything with love, but not with love like, a sentimental value, but actually like you actually are fully engaged and prepared and completely
Passionate
immersed into
about
that.
it,
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Sergio. We really appreciate your company here and talking you about your experiences and all the things that you already talk. We really love you as a teacher and as a person. You're lovely.
Thank you.
And well, thank you everyone for listening us. See you in the next episode.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.